Hi, my name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman and Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan. Please subscribe to our channel. I got an interesting question. Somebody called me up and they said, should I get a divorce if I find out that I'm pregnant? To which I thought to myself, what does that even mean? No, people don't get divorced because they're pregnant. It's usually they're building their family. And then she provided additional details. She is pregnant, but the pregnancy is outside the marriage. The father is not her spouse. Now, should she get divorced? Well, that's a completely different question. I think the first issue is, what's the level of transparency? Does your spouse know that this is a pregnancy that resulted from an affair outside the marriage? Let's assume that there's an ideal scenario, and as ideal as it can be, and everybody knows. Husband knows. Wife is aware who the actual father is. Actual father knows that there's a marriage and there's a husband. Everybody knows. Then the question is what to do. Well, I will tell you this. Things that are external to the relationship should never dictate what happens in the relationship. In other words, if you're pregnant, or if you lost a lot of money, or if your mother-in-law is coming to stay with you for a while, those should not be the things that decide whether or not you get the divorce. What you should use to decide on whether or not you get a divorce is, what is the nature of the relationship? Is the fabric of the marriage so worn through that there's nothing left to preserve? If there's no relationship left to preserve, that's when you decide to get a divorce. But if there is a relationship that's there, and you have one external problem that you got to resolve, that's probably not the reason to get a divorce. It's probably a reason to work on that issue, to try and come to some sort of conclusion and resolution, short of marital suicide, which is the divorce, short of throwing the divorce over the cliff, throwing the marriage over the cliff, I mean. So you don't want to throw it over the cliff, so therefore you want to explore other situations and other resolutions. Now, in the situation that I described, maybe what we do is we don't get a divorce, we work out a parenting time arrangement, we figure out what we're going to say to friends and family, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be an unusual situation, but it still doesn't support the drastic maneuver of a divorce if everybody can agree on everything. Now, having said that, in a regular scenario, that's not a utopia scenario, meaning that husband's upset because the wife had a kid, that guy didn't know she was married, it's a huge mess. This may result in a divorce. If I were the woman in a situation like this and I didn't want to get a divorce, but I had this indiscretion and now there's a baby involved, obviously the play there would be to try and figure out some resolution. But really, in that scenario, the husband's the one who's got to figure out, is he staying in or not? Is he going to stay in that relationship and then have a constant reminder of his wife's affair for the rest of his life in that child? Every time he sees that child, he'll know that that's not a child of the marriage. Maybe that's how he'll take it. It's also possible that maybe the actual father will disappear and this kid, maybe he'll raise the child as his own. I mean, it really would take him a lot to rise above all these problems to see it in an altruistic manner, but it is possible, and people have done that. So I would say in this scenario, you shouldn't just run to get a divorce immediately. I really believe that every effort should be made to explore all the possibilities. If there's nothing left and the parties can't get past it, well, they may well have to terminate the marriage and get a divorce. But before we do that, let's always look at the least drastic means of resolution before we resort to the most drastic means. If you have any questions about that, reach out. We'll be glad to help you out.